Hey, it's Jeremy Neil Blowers here from the Ontario Regiment RCAC Museum, and welcome to our AVA Venue AI Open House.
Hi, Jeremy.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Can you tell us a bit about the museum?
Please have a look around. There's lots to see and do here. The museum covers the history of the Ontario Regiment from its establishment in 1866 to the present day.
What about Tank Saturday?
Tank Saturdays are themed special events held at the museum on some Saturdays during the spring, summer, and fall. They generally include additional activities, including operating vehicles from the museum's collection.
What do we have on the agenda today?
There's a lot going on today at the Ontario Regiment RCAC Museum. The schedule of events is showing now. I hope you have a great day at the museum.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
So as you can see, I was just interacting with our museum AI concierge, Master Corporal Lana. And Master Corporal Lana is our customized version of the Venue AI developed by Cloud Constable. You could see that she is interacting with me, answering my questions, telling me about the museum, but she's about to learn to do more. And some of those things are going to be hosting virtual exhibits, showing people things that aren't currently on display in the museum. You can see also that you can pivot the technology. In the video you've just seen previously, we were using the technology to screen our staff and our volunteers as they came into the museum due to regional regulations on contact tracing and screening. Our staff would daily check in. She'd say good morning and welcome our staff by name, and then put them through their screening, and also keep a record of when they were in the building. When they left the building later in the day, they would check out with Master Corporal Lana, and we had those records of who was on site when, both for staff and volunteer hours, but also for the contact tracing requirement. So now, as we pivot again, at the end of the pandemic, Master Corporal Lana will continue to welcome our staff and volunteers, calculate their hours, but also be interacting with the public, welcoming them to the museum, and as you saw with the concierge abilities, answering questions about the museum, about our events, about how to make donations, where things are in the museum, and also virtual exhibits. So this project started back in 2018. Before the pandemic, we were working with Cloud Constable in a new and innovative way to welcome our visitors to the museum during major events. She was talking about Tank Saturday. We have 1,000 to 5,000 visitors descend on the museum on a Saturday, and there was a lot of lineups. We were developing a way that VIP visitors, or those with prepaid tickets, could avoid the lines, meet Master Corporal Lana, be quickly checked into the event, get some key information about the event, and then move past the checkpoint and enjoy the museum and everything we had to offer. During the pandemic, obviously, we pivoted that technology to the surveys that were required, the contact tracing, etc. And we are pivoting it again as we come out of the pandemic to allow Master Corporal Lana to give our visitors a more interactive and immersive experience with the artifacts in our collection. So be it the medals exhibit that we're going to show you, which is a digital access to that collection. Should that collection not be on display or all the medals are not currently available to view, all the medals in the collection and the information can be shared by interacting with Master Corporal Lana. Other exhibits we might have, if Master Corporal Lana is in the main lobby, she might be out here in the tank bay, talking about an exhibit, welcoming people here and giving them general information. Could it be about the artifacts or safety information about being in the tank bay? You can see behind me a military vehicle that you can see when you visit, but what would it be like to speak to Master Corporal Lana and get pictures or video or an interior 360 view of that vehicle? And that's exactly what we're training Master Corporal Lana to do. So thanks again for joining us today on our virtual event here at the museum. We hope to welcome you back very soon so you can see what we've been working on the last couple of years, check out the exhibits for yourself, and introduce yourself to Master Corporal Lana. I'm now going to introduce you to Michael Pickering. He's been our partner since 2018. He is the CEO and the creator of the Venue AI system. He'll be giving you a greater technical detail on the technology, its development, and some of its capabilities. So until then, I'll see you later on in the broadcast, and be safe. We'll talk to you soon.
Hello. So I wanted to just give a little background to the video that you saw. In fact, there's 2 videos in total. We saw in the first video, as we opened the event today, we had a video from a couple of years ago now, highlighted a little bit about the AirTouch feature, and it showed an early version of the AVA system, more in prototype form. So we've certainly made some enhancements to the system, and in particular some of the stand. There have been a number of enhancements we've made on that. Basically, the new version of the stand is all custom fabricated from alumina extrusion, and we have wheels on the stand, and that allows us to move the whole system around. So in fact, this system normally is at the front of the museum and available to greet visitors. We moved it into the vehicle bay here today because we have a little more space to do this presentation. So the feature of being able to move the system around, I think, is pretty handy, especially as organizations sort of start to experiment with having their own animated virtual assistant. You may not realize in advance all the different things that this sort of solution would be handy to do, and you may not know all the places you might want to use it. So with a stand, we can move it around and try it here and try it there, find a new application, move it over there, and still move it back if we need to. There is still power and internet, or at least an Ethernet connection required for it to really work reliably, but other than that, it's easy to move. In terms of hardware on the system, we're actually working really hard to help make sure that the hardware bundle that is required to make this system work is reasonably well available for customers. There have been obviously a lot of shortages and logistics challenges, especially around computer hardware, and some of the hardware we use is a little more advanced, graphics cards and stuff like that are required, and in many areas, many times, those can be in short supply. So we're really working to put a bundle together so that any kinds of, all the hardware really that you would need, sensors, a display, the compute brain, and if you need it, a wheeled stand, all of this will be available in one or more different sort of reference hardware configurations. In fact, recently the whole solution, the AVA Venue AI solution, has been approved by Intel for inclusion in their Intel IoT Alliance marketplace as what they call an RFP-ready kit. So the whole kit is going to be listed on the Intel IoT Alliance marketplace, and we're working with Intel to make sure the whole kit, and especially many of the really excellent Intel components that are included, are available to make the system work wherever you need it, whenever you need it. In addition to talking about some of the sort of enhancements that we've made to the system, I also have a few slides to work through and talk about. There's a few different points I wanted to share. So this version of AVA, or as she's called here in the museum, Master Corporal Lana, of course is customized for a military museum. And she's actually wearing the Canadian military pattern of camouflage, but not everyone will want an animated AI character wearing camo. And there are certainly other options available. We have one showing on a slide, more of a sort of a business style polo shirt. You'll notice there's a logo on the shirt, and that's certainly something we can do. In fact, the character and the costume or uniform can be customized to fit in just about any kind of environment. The color scheme can be adjusted for matching brand guidelines. Logos can be added. The character herself could even be customized however you want. And actually, the character doesn't even really need to be a female. It could be a man, or it could be a cartoon character. In fact, we could even make the animated character closely resemble a real life human, if that was something that was desirable. So there are lots of options, and we're happy to support any kinds of customizations, voice customizations as well, that might be appropriate. So there are lots of things that we're working on for this solution, and lots of things we think this solution would work well for. Other applications in the hospitality industry, hotels, for example, are fairly promising, and I think that's another area that we very much will want to move into. In addition to hospitality, generally, things like healthcare, even enterprise office environments, any kind of concierge receptionist kind of a solution. These are all kinds of things that the same technology could work with or help with. In fact, really, any kind of scenario where traditionally you might rely on a person with a computer or a notepad, and the idea is to capture information or share information with a visitor, with a customer, a user. Any of those kinds of scenarios, especially if it involves a computer and looking stuff up or entering stuff into the computer, these are ideal areas that this solution, AVA, can help with and take a lot of load off of sort of humans doing more of these sort of drudgery type administrative tasks. And that means they can get out, in a museum environment, get out into the museum and do fun things like give tours, maintain vehicles, and so forth. So I wanted to talk a little bit about the hardware, and on the slide you can see there's an Intel NUC 9 Pro and an Intel RealSense camera. Cameras, of course, are here above the display. And the display, of course, is the most important, in some ways, part of the system, because we're actually interacting sort of face to virtual face with the character. But hidden behind the display, there's a computer. And the compute module, of course, is very important. This one is actually using an Intel NUC 9 Pro. There are other options that we're working to bring to the market. And basically, we're trying to do our best to make sure that there are enough options available, and there's available inventory of some of these options, so that we can actually build complete AVA systems with all the pieces that are needed to make the system run well. Intel technology is a super important part of it, of course, but the whole system has to work, and that's what we're aiming to do. We're working with Intel and a potential retail partner to make sure that all the components are available. We can bring all the pieces together, put it in a kit, and get it delivered to customers. We'll even be able to offer assistance with, mounting monitors and potentially setting up the system in your location. On that note, being able to afford this kind of solution is important, and we know that budgets are limited, especially given the pandemic, and a lot of museums have not even been able to operate. Well, fortunately, one of the things that will help is that a lot of the technology behind the scenes, not just the hardware, but it's the software itself, some of the software is running in the Microsoft Azure cloud environment. This is a big plus from a security perspective, in fact, because all the potentially sensitive data is actually stored securely in the Microsoft Azure cloud. Each customer has their own environment and has all basically control of their own data. It doesn't get mixed with other customer data, and they actually can have their own account. And the reason all of this is reasonably affordable is thanks to the Microsoft for Nonprofits program. Under that program, qualified nonprofits can receive funding of up to, I think it's $3,500 per year, which in actual fact should cover all the cloud operating costs of the system. There's still software license fees and support and maintenance type stuff that is separate, and of course the hardware. But the Microsoft for Nonprofits program covers credits that should allow you to operate the system for substantially a whole year each time. And it is renewable. You can reapply for another year's worth of credits after your first year of credits run out. So I think that's an excellent program that nonprofits like museums would want to apply for, and we can help with that as well. All right, so let's try to do a little demo. I'd like to show you the new interactive virtual exhibit functionality of the AVA solution. So let's see if this all goes well.
Hi, Michael.
Hi Lana, please show me the Victoria Cross. All right, so I can browse around, read more information about the Victoria Cross, see some of the other medals that are in the collection, all by AirTouch. Now we have the Second World War section of the exhibit. If I forget what else is in here, I can go back to the table of contents, and I can see, oh yeah, it's First World War, interwar period, and so forth. Pre-First World War, let's see what's in that section. And there we go. Flipping backwards, of course, is possible. And then we can exit. So we're adding some more features to this, as we've talked about. Voice control while the book is open, being able to ask for all of the medals. I think some of them are working right now by voice and some of them may not be. We're also adding more multimedia content so that on a page about a medal or any exhibit item, we could have videos, we could have audio clips, extra photos, even potentially a 360-degree panorama, perhaps a view inside something or a view of something as it's set up in the real world or something like that. And so there's lots more capabilities coming to this system soon. So stay tuned.